all of you all have started building momentum for this particular change by having various campaigns in each of your cities. And right now, to further keep this momentum going ahead, we would like you all to take it to the next level with another online and an offline campaign as well. Next slide. So first, the campaign that we're looking at is collecting cycling stories from citizens. So tomorrow with the Independence Day, we really encourage all cities to launch the cycling stories from their citizens campaign. And the main aim of this is to look at how the cycle has been more than just a vehicle, to celebrate empowerment that cycle has given to many, especially the women, people from the economically weaker section, to show how cycling has positively impacted our people and to garner support for the Cycles for Change challenge. Next, as we collect these citizen stories, while we want this stories to actually become, something that the citizens take on and own, initially we will have to post a few stories from our end. So we'd really like you all to collect 1 to 2 stories from city influencers. We spoke to many cities, the 3 cities whom we spoke today early, they said about how the different kinds of influencers that they're reaching out to. So we encourage all of you all to reach out to a few influencers, share the poster on social media, asking citizens to submit their stories as well. We've shared a full how-to guide with templates as well. We would really appreciate if you all can launch the campaign tomorrow and share the stories from the India Cycles for Change Facebook page as well. Next. So while we're launching this particular campaign tomorrow, we would really like the campaign to run a span of over 2 weeks, and we would encourage each of you all to share stories every day. At least 1 story per day would be a good idea to keep the momentum going. Just the way, like Rajesh sir said, that small things but regularly to keep the momentum going would be a great way. Collect stories from vulnerable groups, especially women, children, elderly, because it's very important to put them out there and give them all the support that we can as well. And every time you put a story on, one of the great techniques to get people to share their stories would be to tag some of the most enthusiastic groups in your city, people whom you know, etc., and ask them to tag other people as well. So we would be sharing example posts that you can use, and it's been fantastic to see that some cities have already started working on this as well. Next slide. So as we have the online campaign, since many of the cities have started planning rallies, etc., here we're also encouraging cities to close streets on the ground to build support. As we know, there are some cities where the cases of coronavirus are still high and you will have some restrictions. So we would leave it to each one of you to make the decision of what needs to be, whether it is safe to do this or not. But at the same time, many cities have, even at the heights of COVID, have closed streets during the weekends and suggested that people only go out by walking and cycling. So this is to also send the point back home that cycling and walking are very safe modes and they allow physical distancing. It is to create safer streets and build confidence in the community to come back and start using these modes. And also, as we've gone over the last few weeks, like most of us have been sitting at home, it has been impacting our mental health as well. And to use streets as a recreational space to help improve mental health during this particular time period as well. Next. So in order to think about, so how should we go about doing this? So as Shreya had already mentioned in the previous slides, as you're looking at corridors and at neighborhoods, it would be great for you to identify a network in the corridor that you plan to implement your pilot as well. Ensure that it's a collaborative process. Get all the different stakeholders like traffic police, officials, as well as citizen champions on board. Release an official circular to inform everybody that this would be happening on whichever on the dates that you plan to host it, as well as the time periods that you have to host it as well. An important requirement would be barricades and signages, because that is important for you to let the city citizens know about the closure of these streets itself. Next. As I mentioned, during this entire process, please do involve the community, particularly keep in mind women, children, disabled groups in your campaign to make it as inclusive as possible, cycling enthusiasts and CSOs to ensure that it becomes really successful, and also all different local authorities who need to play a very important role. For example, like I said, the traffic police officials to ensure safety during this particular campaign as well. Next. So this is a great fun and a safe way to use our streets, and it's also a fantastic way to tell citizens that, you know, until now you've not had the confidence. So your survey results have shown that many people might own cycles, but they don't have the confidence to cycle outside. So this is a great way to now start getting not just the recreational cyclists or the everyday cyclists who have been using this without choice, but also to get people who know cycling but they might not have the confidence to cycle, or as you're looking at having training programs for those who do not know cycle, so for cycling, for example, women groups, this would be a great way to test all of those out. So we would really encourage cities where it is safe to go ahead and plan this offline campaign, and also launch the online campaign as well. Next. So wrapping this particular piece, in order to build the momentum, the key points that we'd like you to remember is that, one, let's look at celebrating cycling stories, celebrating your memories of cycling from your childhood, etc., and nudging citizens to think about that as well. We discussed earlier today, as we start changing the thoughts, then we would be able to change those thoughts into actual action on the ground. And this is exactly what we want to capitalize with the Cycling Stories campaign. And secondly, the closed streets as well. Many cities have been going ahead and doing rallies. So now, you know, those cities that are safe and confident, we'd really nudge you all to close your streets and encourage more people to come out safely, wearing their masks, maintaining physical distancing, but at the same time to explore cycling and walking in their neighborhoods as well.